Welcome back to this part of the episode. Thanks for listening to the Gunpowder, Propane, and Jesus podcast. Let's light it up.
You know, that's something that aggravates the ever-living mess out of me, is that a lot of these people that are supposed to be big spiritual people will get up there and say all those things, you know, God's got you. But the moment they find out you got a past,
right?
Yeah,
they cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm thankful that the Lord didn't do that to us, because we all got a past.
Yeah.
The Lord don't remember it no more.
Yeah.
And if he don't remember it no more, we shouldn't.
Right.
You know, if he saved you and he's called you to do something, you know, you should be able to do whatever he's telling you to do. That's just a human nature that we let a lot.
Man puts their own thoughts in there. I mean, look at the 12 disciples, right? I mean, if you're trying to pick the best of the best and the holy of the holy, you're not picking none of them cats.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah. Do a little reading and go back and find out about them. Yeah.
Right. So you've
and
got to have
Paul
something there.
Paul was killing Christians.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, I want to be clear. I was very convicted about it because I want to follow my Bible. And in 2 Timothy, the scripture, that's what they use. But it says a pastor must have one wife. And to me, I was like, I got one wife.
Right.
That's right.
And because polygamy was an issue then.
Right.
So, and there are other things that we could say about that, but I will say that I believe that they use scripture to twist it to meet their agenda.
Correct.
Well, you were married before you were saved.
Come at me with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And my ex-wife is still lost.
So the Bible says what God put together, let no man take apart.
And God didn't put that marriage together.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference.
Yep. And that's something that
human nature,
also
like you said, we want to
time.
twist it the way we want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And so that put a horrible taste in my mouth. And I had one preacher, Dr. Bud Lance, that was a mentor of mine at the Bible college, and he'd take me places to preach. And he took me to this place to preach. And the services went great Sunday morning, Sunday night. And a week later, a deacon from over there called me, and he was like, well, we know that Amber's, you know, your second wife, and you got no business being behind a pulpit. And man, I remember calling Dr. L with tears in my eyes, sitting in the parking lot of a bar, thinking, you know, I'm going to go this way, or I'm going to go that way, but I don't, you know, because I didn't want anything to do with it at that point. And he was like, you know, I love you, Brother Dan. You got to get thicker skin.
Right.
And he was right. And I was wrong, because I should have listened to the man of God.
Yep.
And it was a little by little thing, because that's what the devil does. And that's why I always say that when I talk to our young adults and stuff. The devil doesn't just hand you a chain. That's what I said the other day.
Yeah.
He gives you a choice and a link, and he lets you build that chain. And the chains that God had taken off of me, I began to rebuild. And I stopped going to Bible college, and pretty soon I stopped going to church. And pretty soon I stopped praying. And the devil knew what he was doing, and he was pulling my strings. And there was a neighbor kid, and at this point, I got my own construction company, and that's going good. But I was having trouble finding good help. My dad was the only good help I had.
I have that same problem. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing.
Bruh.
Yeah.
So for the employees of his that are in the room.
And so this neighbor kid come over, and he was like, you know, I know, you know, I'm a carpenter and this and that. And he said a lot of things that weren't true and whatever. And I brought him and one of his buddies to work, and I remember what it was.
Didn't your dad tell you not to hire him?
Yeah, Dad hated that boy.
Yeah.
Because dad, you know, with experience and years, you know, comes wisdom and knowledge. And my daddy's he's a quiet man, but he's loaded with wisdom and knowledge. And he never liked that kid. And that kid, boy, it turned out to be real bad. I ended up doing my first line of heroin with that kid. And I call him a kid. I think he's 2 years older than me, but he acted like he
acted like a kid.
Yeah,
he had that teenage mentality.
And they were on meth real bad and heroin real bad, and I didn't even know it when I hired him, and I wasn't. But that's what the devil will do.
Yeah.
And I did that first line of heroin. I remember that, and Pretty soon it was one more and one more. And I didn't know what I was getting into. I didn't know much about opiates. But before I knew it, a month went by. And if I didn't have a line of heroin, I was sick. And I'm like, I can't go to work, you know? So it turned into, you justify it in your head, like, you need a cup of coffee in the morning. I just need a line of dope. But it was starting to affect my work. And I had some good Christian builders that I was doing work for that respected me, that had offered me in-house jobs with them,
right.
And I remember some of them coming to me and be like, Dan, you showing up late. We all know your help's on dope. They ain't no good. Your dad's the only one good you got left, and you starting to slip. And there were tons of warnings.
Right.
God was trying to show me to get straightened out. But, I just hard-headed, stupid. And when you off in sin and and I was getting stuck under that bondage. I didn't want nobody to know. I was hiding it. And
thought you were.
Yeah. Yeah. And what really, Amber had dealt with like pills and addiction before, but she had overcome that. And I hadn't said a lot about this, but so we got married, and and we were clean and serving the Lord best we could. And I brought us back into this mess, and I brought her dope and put it in front of her. So then, as time went on, as we both got more addicted, I'm living with the guilt of the fact, because I knew better. I was supposed to lead my home, and I led my wife down the mess that, you know what I mean? So, oh my goodness. And the weights just got so heavy, Bruce. I mean, so heavy. And
well, that's why she's got a baby in now.
Yeah.
No, Dan, you can't do that.
Yeah. And looking back, oh my goodness, I'll get into that. I don't want to jump the gun. So, and then the devil brought somebody else into my life, a dude named Stacy.
Well, that was your first clue right there. A dude with a girl name.
Like that seems like that should be today.
It was getting harder and harder. It was getting harder and harder to make money legit and keep my business afloat. And we were renting a nice house, and I was starting to have financial trouble, in spite of all the work that I had, and because I couldn't do it. I mean, I would do meth so that I could stay up all night and build tons of picnic tables, because I was selling picnic tables, and I had a lot of people in restaurants wanting picnic tables. And I also had job sites I had to be on for builders. But the thing about meth is you get on that and it's not really productive. You just stay awake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then days go by, and then you start to black out, and it gets a little scary. Like, I mean, crystal meth is nothing compared to or cocaine is nothing compared to crystal meth. Like, you literally can stay up for 10 days, but your body, you start to have blackouts, and crazy stuff happens, and your head goes
paranoid.
Stupid. Yeah. And you get paranoid. And so it's not those of you considering using drugs to stay awake to get a lot done. It's not productive. It's not a good idea.
Just drink coffee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Use a 2 milligram nicotine pouch.
And the whole time, so this dude named Stacy comes into my life, and he's boosting tools. And for those of you that don't know the lingo, that means stealing. Right. And I guess that's just something that we say on the street, so we don't think of ourselves as
what street is that?
Yeah.
What street is that?
Hard Knocks.
Yes, Hard Knocks Avenue.
Yeah. And so and he taught me how to, take whatever I wanted out of Home Depot and Lowe's and get away with it, or not get away with it, and make a lot of money. And so that's what I began to do to make my money. And this went on for about 6 years, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I lost my Harley, and which, by the way, even though I quit riding with those clubs and stuff like that in New York, I kept a Harley, and that's my thing. And I always loved having a motorcycle and riding, and Amber loves riding with me. But I lost my Harley, and all these signs, Bruce. I mean, I had a $17,000 work truck, diesel truck. I crushed it. I took it to the crusher for $800 to buy dope.
That's what you call hard up.
Yeah. Yep. And for months, Daddy was like, "What'd you do with your truck?" And I didn't want to tell him how bad,
But that just shows your mindset. I mean, you got a $17,000 truck you can go sell. But instead you go, I mean, seriously, that happens
and that's
every day.
That's the thing. I was under a bondage that I couldn't take them chains off. It was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much. And I would try to go to detox centers, and it would work for a few days, but I'd get back out and use again. And now at this point, I'd lost all contact with the church. I stopped talking to Dr. Reb. I stopped talking to CT. But in the meantime, my sisters are calling all them, being like, somebody's got to help Dan. Somebody's got to pray for Dan, you know? So now I'm mad at my family because they've let the preacher friend that I had and the man of God that now everybody knows.
Right.
So I'm like, well, it's hopeless. I'm done, you know? So I'm just living in this sin, living a life of crime. And now at this point, Amber and me are hoteling it. You know, we living on the streets, you know, buying dope in the projects, just everything. And so many crazy things that happened with that life. I remember the guy that first gave me that line of dope that was my neighbor. When it come to blows with him, he got jealous because I had a friend that he was a friend with I was looking out for him, and he was at my house, and that dude come over with a pistol and started shooting up my house. We were inside.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. So I literally, you know, covered Amber and got her out the back door and sent my buddy and his wife down to the Engles and like, I'll pick you up. And I remember I told Amber, go to the Engles with them and I'm going to go deal with this fool, you know? And she says, I'm not leaving you. and that's how she was. And looking back, even though those times were as ugly as they were, her and me have a special, I think, those times, man, we stuck with each other.
Right.
And if God did not give me her, I wouldn't have made it through it.
Yeah.
And that it comes to the 6 times I overdosed, that she literally saved my life all but one time. And God knew that I would need her. And yeah.
I think she'd put a whooping on you.
Yeah, she will. She tougher than me.
Yeah. I like listening to them talk junk when I get on the phone with them.
She don't take none.
Yeah.
She don't take none.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when I really fell in love with her, I'll tell this quick story and then we'll get more. I think I told Aaron this before. When we were living, you know, kind of how we were living, but we still had that house we were renting with that knucklehead neighbor and whatever. And there was a couple other neighbors that I got involved with. I didn't need to be involved with. But anyways, this one night, I ended up punching this dude and kicking him out of my truck because he was drunk in my truck and acting a fool. And the next day, his wife come over to the house and I was out getting the mail and she tried to run me over in the driveway. So I kind of got out of the way of the front of the car and then she tried to back into me. And I dodged the car the second time and Amber come out the front door in her Daisy Dukes with a ball bat, bro, and laid it across the windshield of this woman's car.
Girl.
And then went to pulling her out of the driver's side window.
That's what we call South Side.
Yeah. And she go, you gonna try to run my husband over? I'm gonna take care of you, you know. And so I got Amber in one hand and she kicking and screaming and the ball bat in my other hand, carrying her back in the house. And after the dust settled, I was like, man, I love that woman. You know,
she got a little bit of grit.
Yeah. And, but so it got real bad, real ugly, real dark. And as I overdosed and things went down, I was down to, and I'd start to get arrested for, I'd get arrested for, you know, at the time I didn't have a license. So I get arrested for driving without a license, not arrested, but I'd get a court charge and then I wouldn't go to court and then I'd get a warrant. And I'd get a couple penny larceny, small things like misdemeanor because I get busted for, you know, taking a small tool. But I never had any big charges for the boosting the tools that I was doing at the time. But the little charges were starting to stack up. And then they put me on probation. And I ended up, I don't want to say a lot about this, but I had a couple of good investigators that approached me and I ended up befriended me and they looked out for me and I worked as a CI for a while. And some people may look down upon that, but I would say just don't judge that if you don't know the situation or what's going on. And I did, you know.
That's a death sentence in that world.
Yeah. I mean, I worked off some charges and, you know, I did what I did. But I'm still thankful for the relationships that I had with those officers, because when it come down to it, and it was too many charges, and it was going to have to be prison, and I couldn't work my way out of it. It was them guys that came and got me.
Right.
And put me in the front of the car, and you know, like, we're like, Dan, you know, we care about you, man, but you know, we got to do this. This has got to happen. But I know now that that's how the Lord was saving me. And Justin was talking about being saved in the storm. And boy, God saved me in the storm. Like, and because what it come down to was I was in the bathroom. I'd locked myself in the bathroom because Amber kept saving me every time I'd overdose. And I had every intention of getting it done this time. I remember I filled that needle with enough dope that I knew it would kill me. And I locked the bathroom door, and I went to try to fire that thing, and I kept blowing out veins. And I don't want to get too graphic, but I mean, it was, you know, both my arms were bleeding. I was in there over an hour, and I couldn't get a vein, Jordan. And I was getting so mad, but now looking back, I can see how God was protecting me, you know? And finally, in frustration, I remember I threw it down, and I went in the bedroom and I laid down, and I was starting to feel a little bit like withdrawal, and I fell asleep for a while. And then the law come to the door and knocked in. And I was so tired of overdosing. I was so tired of hurting my family. I was so tired of what I become. I was so tired of being so convicted for turning my back on the Lord. I just couldn't run anymore. And I just got on my knees, put my hands behind my back, and I'm like, you know, but like I said, those relationships I had with them guys, they were good to me. They didn't do me like that. They sent me in the front of the car and treated me good and told me they cared about me. But it had to be that way, you know?
Right.
And looking back now, I mean, if not for them guys doing their jobs, I wouldn't be alive. Yeah. So I'm thankful for law enforcement and the relationships I've had with them and how they play a role in my life. And I don't regret any of that. And I realize now how God uses every little thing, you know? And so then come prison. And I was in county jail for about 3 months. And I got clean for the first time, which that was 30 days of absolute, you know, horrible. It comes out of you from both ends. With no warning. I mean, I laid in that cell, you know, in my own filth, just a mess for weeks before I was even strong enough to walk myself to the shower. And I couldn't eat. The guards would try to get me to eat, and I couldn't eat. And they have different meds that they give you, that not like methadone, but different meds that they give you to try to help you through it. And I remember I didn't even want none of that. And I would lay in my bed, and I would sing some hymns that I used to remember Mama singing in church. And that's how the Lord began to show me that he was still there and that he was going to be the one.
So that seed had been planted many years ago.
Yeah. And that's how it all comes together. And God was showing me that he was going to be the one that was going to get the glory out of this thing.
Yeah. Right.
And he was going to be the one that was going to change me. And I wasn't going to change myself. And he still loved me.
Amen.
And so county jail now is going really well. And I'm okay. You know, I'm worried about Amber because she's still using and she's still out there. And without me, because I wouldn't let her do no dirt. I was the one making the money because I thought I was trying to protect her, you know. And so I'm worried about her, and the phone calls between us are lessening. And that's getting stressful. But as far as, I mean, for the first time in 8 years, I'm feeling strong again. I'm doing push-ups again. I'm starting to put on weight again. You know, I was down to 142 pounds when they locked me up. Skin and bones. It was hard to look at me, I'm sure. Most of my teeth were falling out or broke. But then I got sentenced. And I remember that was one of the last phone calls I had with Amber for a while. And then I called her and told her, and she started crying. I'm like, baby, it's going to be okay. You know, I got to do 2 years. It's going to be okay. And that was a hard conversation. She cried most of the time. And, but you see, I was looking through different eyes than she was at that time. I was walking by faith now.
Right.
And I knew the Lord was going to take care of it. And And God was bringing me back to where he needed me to be, and he needed to get me alone in that cell to be able to get a hold of me. But she's still using, and she's on the outside, and she's like, how am I going to survive? I'm homeless. She's homeless now, or trying to make her way here or there. And now I'm starting to get worried about her, because a lot of people we run with and on that side of the tracks, I mean, them girls, they turn tricks to get dope and to take care of themselves. So I'm worried about, which, she never did that. She never did do that. And, but the thoughts that go on and you worry about when you, and then the thing that really kind of made it, or what the challenge would come about was, so I'm going to prison, and all the other boys on the prison bus, I remember, because prison a lot different than county jail. And they were excited. And they were like, this camp we go into, and I don't want to say the name of it, but it was in North Carolina, out towards Myrtle Beach. And it was a medium custody. And these guys are talking about, a couple of them had been there before, and they calling it gangland. And it was a SRG camp, which means state registered gang. So gang inmates go there. So I really didn't know why I was going there. But anyways, so they're excited because they're like, you can get dope on the yard, you can get cigarettes on the yard. And then they were also talking about, people getting airlifted out of there because everybody getting stabbed up in there. And I'm just like, bro, I was good in county jail.
Send me back.
Yeah.
Let me stay in preschool.
I'm trying to stay in my Bible. I'm trying to find, I want to go to church in the prison. I'm trying to, maybe even get educated or go back to Bible college, because there's supposed to be programs, right? Well, I get there and they ain't no programs except, what gang you want to get into and whatever. And I remember that first day there, they put me in my dorm, and I went out into the block with my cup of coffee and sat in the back of the room, and right in front of me, hiding under the cameras, a guy was shooting up. And the first thought was like, how did he get that in here? And the second thought was like, Lord, I'm 3 months clean. How am I going to live 2 years in here with this surrounding me?
Yeah.
And I remember the guy sleeping on the rack above me, he was selling crystal meth. He was selling fentanyl. He was selling weed. He was selling what they call K2. That's like synthetic marijuana, and it's crazy. It's like potpourri spray that they smoke off of paper. It's nuts. And anyway, and I remember that night, I was like, Lord, how am I going to do this? And the Holy Ghost said, if you can't make it through this, how are you going to do what I need you to do on the outside? And I'll never get that. The Lord, said it to my heart. I don't believe that the Lord talks to us all, but that was in my heart. And I was like, okay, God, we're gonna do this. And it was a hard mountain to climb, but I climbed. He climbed it, and I just followed him. And he gave me a couple of Mexican boys that were in the block that weren't associated with gangs, that would read their Bibles, that could talk Bible with me a little bit. And it was crazy. Like, I tell this story a little bit. The Aryan Nation come up to me within the first few days I was there and wanted me to get in with them. Guys with the swastika tattoos and all their Hail Hitler stuff.
You kind of look that way now.
Huh?
You kind of look that way. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We're on radio land, but
right. Yeah.
You mix in with them real good.
So there's the Bloods, there's the Cribs, and most of it, that's the black guys. And then there's the Aryan Nation, and then there was what they call Boss. And that was the 4 gangs. And the Aryan Nation tried to get me, and I was straight up. I was like, listen, guy, I'm a Christian, and that's my faith's not gonna allow me to do what you want me to do. And I'm living for the Lord now. And I'm gonna do this bid. I'm gonna stay out the way. I ain't fooling with no gangs. I ain't getting in no trouble, And they respected that. And then the other white gang is Boss. They call him Boss. And that's like the junkies that want to be a gang, but really they're a joke, But it's kids that feel like they need protection, so they join a gang in prison. That's what that's why they all do that. But I was looking for the Lord to protect me, and He did. And I had a couple small confrontations, but nothing too major. And can I tell this one?
Yeah.
We got our lockers, and I have pictures of my family up, and I learned real quick. Now my wife is beautiful. I believe she's the most beautiful woman in the world. I learned real quick to take my pictures of my wife down. So I did, but I had pictures of my sisters up and stuff. And this dude come by that was doing like 86 years for molesting his stepchildren. and he was like 300 pounds. And I didn't really associate with him or know him. And me and a couple of the Mexican boys are standing like in my driveway. We call that the driveway in between the bunks. And where to walk down through there, that's the street. So he come up the street and he parking on my porch and looking at my driveway.
So he's sitting outside his cell looking in.
Yeah. Well, no, this was dorm style.
Okay.
So it's bunks.
Right.
I wasn't in single cell yet, but I did end up there. But anyway, he made a comment about one of my pictures. And I'm like, bro, get up the street. That my sister, watch your mouth. And he went and say something else about her. And before he could finish it, I busted his nose and it broke twice. I heard it break under my knuckles. And I wasn't sure if it was my hand or his nose at first, but then the blood poured out of him and he hit his knees and the CO, throw me up against the wall, cut me in the back. And they took me to the hole. But on the way out, they were like, Montana, what happened? Because I was a good inmate. And that was like the only trouble I got. Where'd that come from? And I was like, bro, I just wanted to shut him up. And he was like, well, I think you killed him. And
God never do more time than you.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, because of what he was, they, and the COs were good to me. They let me do 5 days in the hole and let me come back out. And I got to keep my job and everything. So it wasn't so bad. So the Lord's protection was there. And, I still believe I was doing the Lord's work by punching that man in the nose. For sure.
I'm sure a lot of people there were happy to see you do it.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Even the police. So, and they sent him to the emergency room. He never came back. So, which means they sent him to another prison because guys that are on state for things like that, a lot of that happens to them, and the police got to move them around a lot to protect them
for their safety. Yeah.
So that's how that went, and but so. Then Hurricane Helene come around. We'll fast forward to that. I got transferred to
I was fixing to say you fast forwarded through a lot.
I was about to say you didn't even out of prison yet.
I've been out of prison for a year. And that storm happened just last year, a few weeks ago, right?
A year,
yeah. So yeah, they transferred me to I did my last 6 months at a nicer camp, which I thought was nicer because it wasn't a gang camp. And it was single cell, so I had my own cell now. And I enjoyed that. And they used to pick on me a little bit, like, Montana, why don't you hang out in the block with us? I'm like, I ain't hanging around with you jokers. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
And I'm in my Bible, and I'm like, I know I hang around with you, and, y'all telling lies. Y'all acting like you don't belong here.
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with, I'm hanging out in my cell. I'm good. I'm doing my workouts. I'm waking up early before I got to go into work in the kitchen. I'm getting in that word. I got my little headphones, listening to my AM radio, Christian music.
Speaking of kitchen work, you ain't been here in a couple of weeks cracking eggs. I've been having to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
Lord help.
Yeah.
Got enough of that in a joint.
That was cracking noses.
But yeah. And I enjoyed that time in my cell because the Lord taught me through that experience that He's not limited by cell walls.
Right.
And some of the best worship, I want to make sure I say this, some of the best worship I've ever had, it was in that cell with Him.
One-on-one.
Yeah. And He let me know that He would be there in the darkest hour. And I would not be the preacher I am today or have the testimony I have today, or if not for the times in that cell with Him.
Yeah.
That I had to learn to rely on Him alone. You see, because now I'm able to come upon things in life that would have broke me or felt like I could never make it through it. And it's like, ain't no problem, because I learned how to trust the Lord to walk with me through things. And I learned not to rely on people because people are just people, they'll let you down.
Yep.
And so I was thankful for that single cell. And the thing was, I was scheduled to get out and go to Asheville. And I had a job lined up with a guy that I worked for before that knew me. And I was in my head, the whole time, this whole 2 years, I'm growing in that word. I'm reading a lot. I'm writing CT. I'm writing Dr. Phil Kidd. I'm writing Dr. Relv letters, which, kudos to Dr. Relv because he wrote me back. And he sent me some books and stuff.
Thanks, CT.
And Hey, CT, I love you, buddy. I know you're busy. But it was more of a thing to help me, writing them letters. I think it helped me. I needed to let the men of God in my life know how I was doing. And it broke my heart what I had done or felt like I'd done or what I did do to Dr. Ralph, because, Dr. Ralph licensed me to preach. I mean, he stuck his neck out for me and, publicly.
Yeah.
And how does that make him look? Because I turned away and did what I did. So I remember the first letter I wrote to him was like, very apologetic and acknowledging how much I had messed up. I mean, I remember I apologized to him that I missed his wife's funeral. I told him I should have been there. And I asked for his forgiveness, and I felt like I had to do that. And which, by the way, the second I got out of jail, it was Dr. Ralph that was one of the first, he hugged my neck and told me he loved me. And he slipped me a $100 bill. And I love Dr. Ralph. And he's been so good to Amber and me and so encouraging. And so, but I want to talk about how I ended up at Victory, because that was all the Lord. And I'm praying for God to use Amber and me. And which, by the way, in the midst of all this, Amber ended up in a Christian rehab. So Amber got clean and got back with the Lord in what she needed to get settled. And God began to work in her life. And the last 5 months I was locked up, the greatest blessing really was the phone calls I would have with Amber when she was in rehab, because now we're talking about the Lord. Mm-hmm. And that's something that even when we first got married, we didn't do that much of. And now we're like praying together on the phone, and we're thinking together, like in unison, like we want to do this, we want to do this. And I've been praying about this, and she would be praying about the same things I was praying about. And so now I'm like, Lord, let us glorify you with our marriage and use us for your glory and our testimony. But I didn't know how that was going to look or how it was going to play out. And I still didn't know if the Lord was going to let me preach again, because I felt like I'd violated the call. I turned my back on the church. I turned my back on God, and I knew God was good. I knew he forgave me, and I knew that he was there with me in prison, but I didn't know if he would use me like that again. Because not that I didn't think he couldn't, I just didn't know if he would.
Yeah, but he got you through all that. He's got plans for you.
Yeah. And so the hurricane hits, and I'm supposed to go to Asheville, and that cancels all that, shuts it all down, this storm. And again, God is saving me with a storm. And that hurt, and not to take it lightly, that hurricane caused a lot of damage, hurt a lot of people. People lost their lives. But for me and in my life, God used that to put me where he needed me to be.
Well,
because
it was a blessing to a lot of people. I mean, economy was down,
right.
Tons of people got plenty of work out of it, even though, it is a disaster.
Yeah.
But again, God uses all things for his glory.
But it brought communities together, neighbors helping neighbors.
Yeah. And it was just another picture for me of how God works all things together for good. And that's what he was doing in my life through that. And so I didn't have nowhere to go but my sister Wendy's house when I got out of prison. And that happened to be 20 minutes from Victory. And I was like, listen, I done wrote CT 2,500 letters telling him I'm coming to see him at Victory. So this is going to work out, And I go there. It wasn't that many, but like.
Good Lord. Pastor CT, can we get this man a letter back, please? Please.
It's lost in transit somewhere.
Yeah.
It never made it out to jail.
He was like, bro, I've been meaning to text you. I was like, yeah. Got my cell phone. So.
I forgot to hit send.
Yeah. But I still didn't look what it looked. I was thinking I'd get out. I was thinking I'm going to my sister Wendy for a couple of weeks, maybe, and then I'm going to get back to Asheville, because what happened when where I was going in Asheville, that was all flooded out. You couldn't go there, couldn't live there. It was over. And so, but I was still thinking it'd be a short time maybe. And I remember the first couple of weeks I was like, when you're adjusting to a new place again, and here I am 42 years old, and I'm like, I've accepted the fact that I have to start over again. But
you're old.
I know.
Easy.
but I had a plan in place, I had a contractor. That dude, he was going to pay me $30 an hour. I had something in place, and my dad is in that area, and I wanted to be around my dad and my mom. But anyway, so I was having a hard time adjusting, but I didn't waste no time. I went to the first church service that I could go to. I got out on Thursday, and we were in church on Sunday. And within
I remember the first time you came into the church. And
we was watching you.
Now,
on the security radar.
So just radar, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing against it, but it's something different that you notice that doesn't come in. Nothing bad about it. It's just a different person coming in.
Yeah.
But I do remember when you made eye contact with CT, you were walking across there, him smiling. And I was like, darn, he must know that cat.
Yeah. And I remember feeling a little bit like I had eyes on me because I was waiting to, I was trying to be respectful. Everybody talking to him. I was waiting to give him a hug and stuff. But I remember probably thinking everybody thinks was this stinking joker in here. Well, he looked like an inmate.
Thanks for listening, and remember, the smoke may settle, but the embers stay lit. This was the Gunpowder, Propane, and Jesus podcast. Stay tuned for the next part of this episode.